We strive every day on Idaho Matters to bring you the latest breaking news. Whether it's the newest bill from the Idaho legislature or the latest measles outbreak, we have the story. Listen to Idaho Matters podcast at boisestatepublicradio.org today.
It's the Connector Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. Good morning, happy Monday. I'm Troy Oppie. We know who will lead the search committee for Boise State's new president. Lawmakers are talking about changing the state's near-total ban on abortion, but talking is all they'll do this session. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is in Boise today, making a public appearance. And who pays for catastrophic wildfires? Those stories and more this morning on The Connector. Well, we start this morning at the Idaho State House on Saturday morning, where more than 1,000 Idahoans gathered in defense of public lands in the state amidst national efforts to privatize. John Robeson is the Public Lands and Wildlife Director for the Idaho Conservation League, which sponsored Saturday's events.
Public lands are what makes us who we are as Idahoans, and we need to rally together and keep them in public hands.
The rally featured multiple speakers from across the state. They urged attendees to take action to support the state's public lands. One of these actions is to contact federal officials in support of the Keep Public Lands in Public Hands Act that was introduced to Congress by U.S. Representative Ryan Zinke, a Montana Republican. The bill aims to ban the sale or transfer of public lands to private owners. Attendee Megan Newberry says access to the outdoors in Idaho played a large part in why she moved to the state. She's worried about increased efforts to remove that access.
The South obviously has a lot of outdoor stuff, but there's just not nearly as much public access as there is here. And I'm not willing to give that up or let anybody else, take it.
Public land makes up more than 60% of Idaho's total area, with 3.5 million acres of national conservation land. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will join Idaho Governor Brad Little today in Boise for a press conference to promote a constitutional amendment requiring the federal government to spend no more money each year than it takes in. Attempts at a balanced budget constitutional amendment are not new. The issue goes back decades. Governor Little expressed support for a balanced budget amendment in this January State of the State address. He joined all 25 other Republican governors in signing a letter January 10th supporting the Trump administration's plans to balance the federal budget through what have turned out to be aggressive personnel cuts directed by the unofficial Department of Government Efficiency. Today's press event with Governor Little and Governor DeSantis is set for 9:30 this morning, but Governor Little's office has not said what else the two have planned for the visit. State lawmakers introduced a bill Friday to include new exceptions to Idaho's near-total ban on abortion, but as our James Dawson reports, the bill is not going to move forward.
Halting the bill's progress was the only way Senate Republican leaders say they allowed it to be introduced. Here's Republican Majority Leader Lori Den Hartog.
I think this is an important conversation. I have many serious and grave concerns with the legislation as drafted.
The proposal would allow abortions when a fetus is diagnosed by two doctors that it could not survive outside the womb. Pregnancy complications that would result in major health problems for the mother would also be covered. Dr. John Wardell, the former head of Women's Services for St. Luke's, helped draft the bill.
Clearly defining maternal health risk is going to eliminate the majority of transports out of our state that are occurring now, and these are emotionally and financially devastating consequences for families.
He's referring to several women who've had to be flown to hospitals elsewhere to receive an abortion due to Idaho's near-total ban on the procedure. While the bill won't move forward this year, its sponsors hope it'll progress further next January. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
A change in design plans has stopped work on Interfaith Sanctuary's new shelter location on State Street in Boise. KTVB reports the necessary reviews to resume work could take about 10 days. Interfaith Sanctuary has pushed forward with construction despite a recent state Supreme Court ruling that found the Boise City Council erred in overriding the city's Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the new shelter. The city says it will change its code to specifically allow the council the final say in such matters, though that change has to go through the regular ordinance process, which is expected later this spring. Current State Board of Education members David Turnbull and Kurt Liebeck will lead the search for Boise State's new president. Dr. Marlene Trump last week announced she was leaving BSU this summer in a lateral move to the University of Vermont. The search committee announced by Idaho State Board of Education also includes Idaho Power Executive Lisa Groh, the Boise Chamber's Bobby Joe Muehleman, Blue Cross of Idaho's Mike Reynoldson, Bruce Moore, chairman of the BSU Foundation, and VP of Student Affairs Jeremiah Shin. A faculty member will be named to the committee later, according to a press release, and the group will form subcommittees to specifically seek out feedback from faculty, staff, athletics, alumni, and students. The search committee will deliver a list of final candidates to the State Board of Education for their decision. Another wildfire season is quickly approaching. State lawmakers want stronger prevention plans while also considering the risk of litigation against utility companies. George Prentice reports.
The measure is called the Wildfire Mitigation Standard of Care. If signed into law, it would require utilities to submit wildfire mitigation plans to the Idaho Public Utilities Commission. Senate Bill 1183 also includes a short reference to the liability of electric companies, but Democratic Senator James Ruckty of Pocatello says it does not go far enough.
Individual or firefighter, somebody who's out camping, ends up in the middle of a wildfire that was caused by the negligence of Idaho Power, we'll say. My reading of this bill is that it would not allow that individual to claim their medical bills, and if that individual died, it would not allow the individual's family to bring a claim for those medical bills.
GOP Senator and Majority Leader Kelly Anthon pushed back. He says Idaho needs to limit lawsuits against electric companies.
What happens when you basically bankrupt a co-op utility? Who pays the price ultimately? It's your ratepayer.
Along party lines, the Senate State Affairs Committee voted 7-2 to approve the plan as is, with no change to liabilities. It now heads to the full Senate for its consideration. George Prentice, Boise State Public Radio News.
The College of Idaho men's basketball team will play tonight in the NAIA's Fab Four, the national championship tournament semifinals. The Yotes reached the Fab Four for the fourth time under Coach Colby Blaine with an 83-71 win over Georgetown of Kentucky on Saturday. The Yotes face Arizona Christian in this afternoon's semifinal. Tip-off at 4 o'clock Mountain Time. That game will be streamed at naianetwork.com. American Lindsey Vonn took silver this weekend in the women's Super G at the FIS World Cup ski event in Sun Valley. It was her first podium in 7 years. That was the first event after Saturday's downhill was canceled due to high winds. The best skiers in the world are in Sun Valley through Thursday this week for the FIS Ski World Cup. But there are no events today. Competition resumes tomorrow with the women's giant slalom. Before we go this morning, I want to remind you that we are a publicly funded news operation here at Boise State Public Radio. Our listeners' donations make the difference between what we have the resources to do and, in some cases, what we don't. This podcast is a direct result of strong listener support, so thank you for that. We hope you'll take an opportunity to give us a jump start on our upcoming Spring Fund Drive. You can make a gift right now in our free app for your smartphone or by using the blue donate button at boisestatepublicradio.org. And thanks for your support. I'm Troy Oppie. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Our digital strategy manager is Lacey Daly. Our general manager is Tom Michael. Make it a great day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning.